Good afternoon. A good coach is positive, enthusiastic, supportive, trusting, focused, goal oriented, knowledgeable, observant, respectful, patient, and has clear communication. Well, if anybody's been coached, you know that not all of that's true, but that's what we're looking for. Welcome to Broker Talk, our weekly exploration of the residential real estate industry, where we bring you subject matter experts each week to illuminate and illustrate best practices in our industry. The job of a coach is not to be better than others. The job of the coach is to make others better. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host each week, and I thank you for listening, subscribing, and commenting. I truly appreciate your participation. Today's show brings you two entirely different type coaches serving our industry. We all know the always be closing high D people in our business, and many people feel that this is the personality you have to make a living in real estate. Those of us working in the industry know that agents come from all walks of life and experience and all kinds of personalities. Yes, you have the aggressive folks who will drive their point constantly and relentlessly. There are also people of the exact opposite temperament, working successfully, the shy, the introverted, the never cold call people, those uncomfortable in large groups. They too can and are successful. Coaching is a noble undertaking and demands that the coach takes as much time and effort and attention to their coaching as their students need to pay attention to their lessons taught. Not all coaches are the same. Today, I have Jay McHugh and Ashley Harwood. Ashley is an introvert, and her company, Extroverts, has been cited by the industry as one of the best programs for people in the industry. Jay McHugh owns, along with his wife, LAER Realty Partners. Is that the right way? Oh, we'll get to that. Jay is also a representative and a huge fan and of the successes he's had using send out cookies as a way to further build rapport. Let's get right to this now. I want to start with one question for both of you. Tell our audience why you began coaching other agents. I know you'd both to be productive, producing agents, so why take on this other task? That was it.
Who first? Who first, Larry?
Let's start with you, Jay.
Sure. One of the things I think we all have learned growing up and going through business is the mentors and coaches that they had before them. And when you have an opportunity to give back the same way that the coach that may have coached you, you feel humbled to be able to do that effortlessly as well as humbly. And if you can make it into a business, good for you. So my approach is that when you're coaching, you're also learning, selfishly or unselfishly. If you're coaching, you're also learning and you're able to get that information out to that next generation of clients, whatever industry you might be in. So summing it up, the reason why I love to coach, whether it's on the soccer field, or on the golf course, or in the real estate space, is because somebody took the time to give it to me and I want to give it back to others.
Excellent. And Ashley?
So for me, the reason that I stepped into a coaching role and started training and teaching classes was because I struggled a lot my first few years in the business. And when I help people avoid those struggles and find a level of success faster, that makes me feel great. Like that is my why in doing this. It's to help people avoid the mistakes that I made and to find their own path as quickly and painlessly as possible.
I've been coached in sports. I've been coached in business, in all of the industries. I've had both good ones and bad ones. Ashley, have you had those kinds of experiences as well?
Yes, I wouldn't say good and bad though. I would say one I've had coaches who were more aligned with me and my goals and personality and ones who were less aligned. So just like the real estate agent to client relationship. I feel that there is the right coach for every agent, but the right coach for me might not be the same one for you or somebody else.
Exactly. And you, Jay, I'm sure you've been coached a variety of different times. You talk about constantly learning.
I echo what Ashley said. You know, at times when you're at beginning, you might need beginning in real estate. Sorry, I'll be more clear when I speak. If you're at the beginning of a real estate career, the coach that might align with you is different than someone who's 7 years and wants to 10x his or her business. And therefore, the recipient, the client, the person looking for a coach also needs to align himself, herself with the right coach, or it's not going to work. So I agree that there's certainly not bad coaches or good coaches. It's the correct coach for the individual at that time. I'll give you a little quick thing. One of our friends that won't just keep the names nameless, he went through a great program and he felt that this person wanted him to be coached for a lifetime. And he said, I graduated from your coaching. You should be happy. And it stuck with me. I love that because there are times when you need to release your clients and say, go find somebody else that can help you with what you're doing because I'm not the expert in that field. And if you can do that, you're a good coach.
I think that's keeping your ego in check and knowing when you've given all you can to someone.
Sure.
Coaches have the ability to look at you and look at your production, and they're not just saying, "Did you make your calls today?" But if you didn't, why didn't you? And try and understand the mindset. How important is mindset in your business, Ashley?
It's very important. It all starts with mindset. If the mindset is not where it needs to be, then I usually advise clients to go and take a day off. I do that for myself. I follow my own advice. If I'm just having a weird day and I'm in a strange headspace, I need to get away from it and go do something else for a while and reset.
I find that for me personally difficult, but I will get up and move away from something. But I don't, I'm not good at taking days off, and I know how bad that is. I see you constantly doing stuff too, Jay. Do you take any days off?
Well, I think when someone says a day off, what is the definition of a day off? We're always working, we're always collaborating, we're always networking. Physically, if I'm not going into the office, someone might say that's a day off. But yeah, you definitely need to recharge your battery. And no one needs to work 365 days a year. Some might say that, some might use that as a marketing thing. But the reality is, if you can let your brain and your body relax and recharge, you'll be better off. I remember a good quote uh, when we were painting down the Cape. We used to work 8 hours a day, and we talked to the general contractor. We want to do 12 hours, and after 2 days, he realized we were not productive from the 8 hour to the 12th, and he stopped. And it was a good lesson that people need to recharge their mind or physicality, etc., if they're going to be successful in their goal.
I think you find that all the time that the further you go in a day, you have to leave some energy from today for tomorrow. I have found. And I've had the bad coaches. When we promoted this show, I wanted to get to a place where we could help people who are watching the show understand good coaches and bad coaches. You guys are both good coaches. That's why you're here. Um, I've had some of the bad coaching experiences I've had are successful coaches with other people who had a particular system that they followed, and everybody they coached used the same system. Every script was the exact same for every person, and every step I had to take was the same as 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 other agents, and it wasn't working for me, and I couldn't get through that point to the coach that this wasn't working for me. Could I do this? And this happened to be a guy. He absolutely said you have to follow this. If you follow it, I can guarantee your success. And I think if someone says do exactly what I do and you'll have the success that I'll have, that's just not true. You found that to be true, Ashley, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that that would be a definition of a bad coach. I would even go as far to say that that's not even coaching at that point. That is, I'm going to train you on this one thing, and that's okay. But where it crosses the line into being harmful to the individual and to the industry is when it goes from, here's my system, try it out and see if it works for you. When it goes from that to, here's my system, and if it doesn't work for you, you're a failure or there's something wrong with you. Seriously, even if they don't say it, that's how you feel. And that's just, it's so toxic.
That's exactly how I felt then. And it took me a while to extract myself. But how about you, Jay? What kind of experiences have you had in that? You know, we go to industry events and people who are very, very successful at selling homes. We'll talk about how they did it, what they used in social media, how they talked to people, their listing presentation. That doesn't make anyone the same person as that successful agent that's up there in front of all of us, does it?
No, I mean, I think Ashley alluded to it, that there are different, say, markets, there's different price points, and there's different reasons. And if you're in a military base, it's a different situation than if you're in a luxury home market, as well as a first-time home market or a foreclosure short sale market. So think about if you're trying to use that same, we'll call it tactic, that you just mentioned in all four of those avenues or four markets, you're going to fail 3 out of 4 of those because
Right.
it just does not fit. Now, it might fit in the short sale or the foreclosure because that's what I think you were aligning yourself or mentioning, but it wouldn't work in the luxury market and wouldn't work in the military relocation market. So therefore, you have to step back and see who you're aligning with and does it work and does it fit? And you'll have much more success in picking that right coach for you.
So at the beginning, all franchises, everyone I know says they have good coaching programs and they have the best teaching. We've got 7,000, 800,000 videos online that you can look. I have never found that for me. I will go to the videos and I'll look at it, but it isn't like having an interaction with a real person. And early on in my career, I was with several good franchises before I ended up where I am. And each one of them said theirs was the best, and one of them was essentially a vanilla envelope that tasted the same and looked the same when I went through it. And I think that, sometimes a coach has to kick somebody to get them motivated. And you have to cuddle them to make them feel willing. And I don't think coaches do that very often. I know that because Ashley, you're so empathetic with people. I think that you actually do pay attention to what you're doing to people, how they're reacting to it. Um, I'm not always like that. I am an empathetic person, but I don't think I'm reading people as well because in real estate, when you think you know what that other person is thinking, you really have to ask them because you might be way off.
Yeah.
Um, so, how do you change up what you do, Ashley, when you're coaching if someone isn't resonating with what you're doing?
I am constantly checking in with my clients to learn how things are resonating. I also am an empath, so I feel what they're feeling a lot of times. And so I can already tell, but I'll still check in and confirm
Right.
without just assuming. And then we make tweaks because my coaching style and my program is completely different. It's not a I will teach you these things. It's a we're going to start from you and your life and what you're already doing, and we're going to sort of work backwards. And so I don't know what it's going to look like at the end. We're going to figure that out together. So I'm not trying to put people in a box or on a specific path. So that makes it easier. I don't encounter a ton of resistance. Sometimes I'll throw out an idea like, what about this? How do you feel about this? A lot of my questions for my clients are, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this lead gen activity? And if they recoil, we're not even going to go down that road at all. We're going to try something else, you know?
Understandably, and you're so focused on helping that individual in that way. I think you have a new program calling the VIP. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Sure, thank you. Yes, VIP days are something that I'm offering to individual agents. And what it is, it's a very cool program. I went through something like this with one of my coaches, and I sort of borrowed her formula, which we all do. We borrow from each other. So thank you, Shannon. So we spend the morning creating your business plan, which includes lead gen strategy. That's the bulk of it. And it's completely custom. And then we take the afternoon and do something fun that's not at all business related. It could be whatever, go to a museum, go to a spa, go to dinner, whatever. It's important to take that time away from it to let the brain digest it. And then we come back around and say, okay, is this still making sense? Or is there something that we put together in the morning that you're kind of not feeling as good about? And then we have a few check-ins afterwards. So it's a very cool program, and I'm excited about it.
It sounds great. I've known Jay for as long as I've been in real estate, and Jay has always been developing extreme rapport with people by his responsiveness, and in particular, your send out cookie programs. You're like the lead dog in the world on send out cookies. Am I right? You just received some kind of amazing award.
Well, you're very kind, and just a quick correction because I send Larry lots of cookies. It's send out cards, and you have the ability to send cookies and books and real inspirational items of value rather than what I coach on. And I say, people, why would we want to give someone a gift card to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or Home Depot or American Express and help build a 20, 30, $50 billion corporation when you could send a gift similar to this, which I received this morning, and it just says grateful. And I know that Autumn Anderson sent me this, and I will always know that. So I appreciate the kudos. And the real thing, I love what you said at the beginning, because Ashley's very good at this. When we identify who the person is that we can help coach, there are people that love to ABC, always be closing. Nothing wrong with that. But then there's another group that now I teach and coach on ABC, always be caring. And they align to that because they're never going to be good closers, but they can build a practice of always be caring. And that's when they get excited because now they feel, oh, I can still be in the real estate space, the mortgage space, the small business owner space. Because ultimately anybody can go to Google, whether it's real estate, Amazon.com, Loan Depot, check what the price is. And the reason why they come to Larry or Ashley is because people count, numbers don't. When you focus on people, you'll have an infinite amount of business. When you focus on numbers, you create cement shoes and you fall into what I call proverbial bankruptcy. So if we can teach our audience, our students, our agents, whomever, that what people really want is they want to know that you care, that they selected you for the business. And if you don't show them that, they'll go to Amazon, they'll go to online services to get their loan, to get their real estate, etc. And I think it's fascinating for folks like Ashley and yourself, Larry. Larry, you're a coach, and sometimes you're humble because you're getting out this information to your audience that if people didn't hear it, they would fall themselves into the dumpster fire of just doing everything online. And that's what we're consultants helping people recognize that human beings are the ones who make the final decision.
I was talking to a guest a couple of weeks ago on the show, Lars Hedenborg. He has a team, I think it's all over the country. He closes hundreds and hundreds of houses a year. And I was saying to him that we are in a self interest business. Everybody's concerned about self. And what I said was, because I know him personally, that the way that he defines his self is helping others. And I kind of said, well, really, you were doing all of this because you knew if you did it and you were successful that you were helping them, and that help to them would help you. And he pushed back and he said, no, I was just interested in making a lot of money at the beginning. It's only now that I realize that it's more important to care about people than to just have another transaction. And I think, Ashley, you're everything about that. I watch you on Move Over Extroverts, your Facebook page, and you absolutely care. There's very personal stuff that gets shared on that page between you and your clients and your followers. Um, is that a problem in your personal life that you're so transparent on Facebook with what's going on?
No, not at all. It's funny you say that because I actually feel like I'm quite private on Facebook. I feel like I don't share very much at all that's personal. I think maybe the difference is it feels like I'm being very vulnerable and personal, but I only am with certain things. So there are certain topics that I keep to myself and my, relationships and my family. But I will talk about my cat all day long. I'll talk about what I cook, and I will talk about everything having to do with real estate currently and in my past, in my career and my failures. And so I'm very open with select things, but not everything. And I think that that balance is important, and everyone has to choose what those boundaries are for themselves.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that I've always liked the most about Jay is his absolute love of his daughter, Ocean. Am I saying her name right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very, very cute. And you do so much stuff, so many things with her that you share. It shows a human side. And your days off on the beach that you sometimes post, Ashley, I like to see somebody at the beach if I'm not there.
Yeah, those are few and far between now that I'm not in California anymore, but those were fun things to post.
The season is on its way. What to, First of all, let's share with our audience how people can get in touch with you. How will people get in touch with you, Ashley, or your website? If you want to give a phone number, let's go ahead and do that.
Sure. My website is moveoverextroverts.com. Um, I don't give out my phone number very often, except to select people because I'm an introvert and I hate being on the phone. So I will direct people to my Facebook group, and that's where all the cool stuff happens. It's called Introverts in Real Estate. That's the name of the group.
Ah, it's not Move Over Extroverts. It's
Move Over Extroverts is the name of the overall company.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but everybody knew her as Nancy, as the Beatles said before you were born. Um, um, And you, Jay, I know you're at LAER. I didn't say the name. Is it LAER Realty Partners or LAER Real?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Layer Realty Partners. Um, I give out my phone number. I'm very transparent, and I have people who have um, the word fish or something. I was on Channel 7 for someone stealing my identity, and it can be very frustrating. And I have people calling me daily saying someone has um, I'm getting tongue tied right now. They'll say that hijacked my account. And I said, no, they just copied pictures, made up a similar name, and just be careful out on Facebook. And somewhat it's sad. But to answer your question, if you Google Jay McHugh, you'll come up with our real estate site as well as the Sendell card site, which I coined a URL to make it easy, myrandomactsofcardness.com. everybody understands my random acts of kindness. But if you go to myrandomactsofcardness.com, you can test out the site, send a free card during Holy Week, Mother's Day, Father's Day, things like that.
Passover.
Just passed over. Very easy way to get people interested without trying to sell them something. And if it aligns with you, great. Give me a call and we can go deeper. And I think all of us on this call love to help people. That's why we're here giving our time, and you giving your time weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, getting this information out.
One of the things, and I don't know where I learned it. It could have been from one of you. But when I'm at a listing presentation, the question always comes up about commission. You know, and pretty soon after that, the other shoe drops. Well, there's another agent that will do it for a lower commission. Will you match it? And one of the things that I learned somewhere along the way is to go the opposite direction. I said, well, I don't really talk about commission because that's not important to me, and wait for them to, they'll like a dog, they'll tilt their head, huh? What's going on? And I say, no, that's not important to me. What's important to me is for me to get you everything that you want, and for us to be sitting at that closing table and you're telling me thank you. That is my reward. I'm a good agent. I get paid just like everybody else. But what I really am looking for is your happiness. And that kind of takes it away from, I want your money, to how can I help you? Because there, in every single deal, there are 3 uh-oh moments and 1 jump off the cliff moment. And we don't know what it's going to be, but they're going to come. And maybe it's the inspection was bad, or a jump off the cliff moment is we can't get clear to close because there's something on the title. You know, that's like, oh my God, now what are we going to do? But I think that as experienced agents, understanding that this is a process, and we do that process with the people that we work with, it's important to pay attention to the people you work with. And the same with coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your coaching clients stay with you for a longer period of time. Your buyer and seller clients do stay with you a long time, but you're not dealing with them on a weekly basis after you close. Ashley, what can you share? We're coming to the end. I always hate that this show is so short, but what else can you share? What have you learned in the last? I know you went to California and you're back on the East Coast with all of us, which we love. What have you learned recently that's working for you, resonating with you?
One thing that I've been seeing a lot of agents struggling with is burnout. And it's funny, earlier Jay mentioned, what is a day off? I actually teach, and I wrote an entire hour-long class on taking days off because I see so many agents struggling with it and feeling guilty around it, and that negates the purpose. So one thing I've learned is for the newer agents, build that habit from the start, build that habit of taking time for yourself, and that will serve you well when you get busier. And for the experienced agents, you have to carve out time to rest. Otherwise, you're not going to be in a position to help anybody.
Right. And you, Jay, what have you learned over the last year?
I think you touched on it, something in terms of the example of commission or the mindset. I tell people I don't work on commission. I work on a professional service fee, because the commission begins the beginning of negotiation, whether it's in the insurance business or the car business. So if you change your mindset and then you practice that, a lot of people wing their listing presentations, their buyer presentations. They should be practicing with you in front of the mirror, recording it, and then getting comfortable with it, because people will pay you more money if they find the value in you.
Yeah.
Yet people don't take the time to create the value. As you mentioned, they talk about the commission after 2.5 hours at the very end. At that point, the person is turned off by you. And even if you were to give away your commission, they're not going to be interested. But if you were to begin and say, my professional service fee is this for this reason, and I bring incredible value. And as I sent you over the pre-listing package, do you have any further questions? And should we go on? Now, I just gave you a quick coaching session, but why can't people practice that? And to answer your question, over the last year, there's been more realtors who've come in because of Corona, but that doesn't mean they're good. And there are a lot of people that are just feverishly looking at the lack of inventory and the incredible, multiple bid offerings, et cetera. Well, why hasn't your client got one of these winning bids? Is because you haven't practiced enough to help him or her to get that winning bid. And that's why you should take a day off, but that's why there's awesome amount of opportunity to improve self-development yourself. No matter what company you're working for, you need to start by self-developing yourself before you can win that over Ashley's clients or your clients, Larry. And until people do that, they're just winging it out there.
Well, I thank you for that professional services fee. That's an excellent tip, and it does change the conversation. I truly appreciate both of you for coming on and being on the show together. It's been such a joy, and I know that the audience appreciate it. Join in next week for another show, and thank you again.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
We'll be back next week with another good show. Tune in then.